Ever thought of correcting your mistakes in the past? Thought of making your life better by changing your decisions? Or go to the future and find out what you would be? What if it was actually possible? Go back in time and alter the past? Travel forward into the future? This concept is called time traveling, and we are here to discuss if it is actually possible.
Into the cosmos.
So beforehand, the term time travel means moving from different points in time. But if it was this simple, then why aren't we seeing time travelers everywhere? What if we told you that time travel is actually happening? It's due to a phenomenon called time dilation. This phenomenon happens due to gravity. The closer you are to a bend in space-time, the slower time is for you. Therefore, an astronaut in space experiences time faster than you. This type of time dilation is called gravitational time dilation, and it is not the only type of time dilation. Another type of time dilation is called relativistic time dilation. This happens due to velocity that an object is traveling. The closer you are to the speed of light, the slower time is for you. Due to these concepts, time travel actually happens. But we want to approach time travel in a different way. What if you wanted to travel to a specific point in time? How is this possible? The world famous physicist Stephen Hawking once held a scientific experiment. He held a party in secrecy for time travelers, but he only sent the invites to the party the day after. So the only way to find out about the party was after it happened. But sadly, no one showed up to the party. This doesn't mean that time travel is impossible, and we'll explain it later in the video. When considering time travel, it comes with a lot of contradictions and paradoxes. Following are few paradoxes that come up due to the concept of time travel. The predestination paradox. This paradox states that even going back in time to change something that happened in the timeline, you actually don't change it, but it will only result in the same outcome. Basically, this means that even if you go back in time to change something, it doesn't actually change it, but the present will remain the same. The grandfather/Hitler paradox. I know that everybody loves their grandfather, but for the sake of the experiment, we have to kill him. So imagine that you decide to go back in time and kill your grandfather. So you go back to a specific point in time where your grandfather hasn't met your grandmother, and you kill him. By killing him, that makes you not being born. So you don't go back in time to kill your grandfather. That means your grandfather gets married to your grandma and then you are born. So you go back in time and kill your grandfather. So this creates a never-ending loop. This is called the grandfather paradox. Similarly to the grandfather paradox, the Hitler paradox is where you go back in time and kill Hitler. Similarly to the grandfather paradox, you decide to go back in time and kill Hitler, which eliminates the purpose of you going back in time. So you don't go back in time and Hitler is still alive, and then you go back in time to kill him, and this also results in a never-ending loop. The bootstrap paradox. This paradox is based on the concept that a man tries to pull himself up by his bootstraps, which results in nothing actually lifting him up, but he has done so. Like the name, this talks about where an object is sent back in time and hence loses its origin. An example for this is you going back in time and giving William Shakespeare Macbeth, and this gives birth to the question, who actually wrote Macbeth? Some other issues too come up with the concept of time travel. The butterfly effect also plays a major role in time travel. It also states that a minute change in the past will result in a catastrophic change in the present. We'll talk about this later in the video. Another problem is that if you decide to go to the future using a time machine, and hence the time machine has occupied that specific space throughout the timeline, hence resulting you not being able to go back in time because that specific space is occupied by the time machine. One method to overcome this is to postulate a method where you can materialize on the other end of the timeline. Another problem is that the Earth is rotating on its axis, which is revolving around the Sun, and the solar system, which is orbiting around a supermassive black hole, which is in an ever-expanding universe. So you have to predict all the motions in the universe to determine to the specific point in space-time that you have to go. The solution is that you have to assume that space and time is one continuum, and you have to travel into a specific time which has a specific space occupied. The conservation of momentum also makes time traveling nearly impossible because we have to think about the conservation of our own momentum and also the momentum of Earth. Landing ahead in space would be a solution for this. So the question arises, is time travel actually possible? One answer is that time travel is actually impossible and we can never achieve it. But here we don't take no for answers. So what are the other options? Another answer is the self-healing hypothesis. This hypothesis says that altering different events in the past would create different events which would result in the present remaining the same. This would be an answer for the butterfly effect. Also, the multiverse hypothesis would be also another answer for this. It states that multiple timelines are created when the past is altered. For an example, in the grandfather paradox, when you kill your grandfather for the sake of science, two timelines are created in which one, your grandfather is dead, and in the other timeline, you and your grandfather are both alive. Another hypothesis is the erased timeline theory. It is where you would erase your own timeline, creating a new timeline where you altered the past. So in conclusion, time travel is a topic which leaves more questions than answers. But it is interesting to deal upon the mysteries of the universe. Subscribe to Astro Ananda for more interesting information about the universe and catch you guys in the next one.